Unfortunately, some of us do hold things from our past. We hold things that we should have forgiven people for, but during that time in my life, I lost my father. So I carried a lot of resentment and I was just kind of angry, but I felt like my world was upside down. So I reacted because I was hurt. My world didn't shatter. My father left me. And I saw my neighbors still going to work. I saw people driving by in their cars. I saw people still going on with their lives. And I felt like my life stopped. And like, why nobody else's life stopped? And so, welcome to Talkin with LaToya. Come on in. Come on, let's sit down. Let's talk. Okay, so today, I know I'm not the only person that have had someone do me wrong in my past or have had some bad things or some unpleasant things that have occurred to me. And I know you probably had that too. So we're going to talk about guarding our heart and letting it go. And what I'm talking about is when we hold things from our past and we do not forgive and it becomes festering into our heart. Like, for instance, do you remember when you was in high school and you know that boy probably asked you to go to the prom and you was holding out, so probably had like 3 or 4 ask you to go to the prom. You accepted all 4 of them, but you was waiting for this one guy to ask you. And so you accepted the other ones, so you won't be left without a date, so you can choose just in case if the guy who you really want to go with, just in case if he didn't ask you. So you told everybody else yes, but you was holding out for the other one. So just think about that. I'm pretty sure those guys from your past, I hope they still not holding it or letting it fester. Because that's most of us, I know for me, that's about 30 years ago. But unfortunately, some of us do hold things from our past. We hold things that we should have forgiven people for, but we still hold on to it. And like I remember this guy. I was in high school, and he really had a crush on me. He was a cool dude. He was a cool guy. He was very popular, but I was more of a tomboy girl, as you would say. I grew up with a lot of boy cousins, and I grew up with boys. I was the oldest girl grand, so I was really tomboyish. So he liked me. He worked at this florist. He would bring me flowers. I would run him from my house. I would tell him not to come back. There's times I even threw stuff at him. And this guy was relentless. He would not give up. He would come to my house like weekly. And, it's like, I think about it now, because especially when you're older, like, oh my God, that was so immature. But during that time in my life, I lost my father. So I carried a lot of resentment and I was just kind of angry, but I felt like my world was upside down. So I reacted because I was hurt. And so, with me throwing the things at the boy, telling him, don't come back to my house, just saying little crazy stuff to him. Yeah, I said all kind of crazy stuff. So with that, I'm happy that he didn't hold it. He could have held it because he actually came to my house for months. And he would write songs. He even was a VJ on the radio. He would dedicate songs. And I was just ugly. But I was ugly because I was hurt. But thank goodness he didn't hold that, because if he did, he wouldn't be as successful as he is today. He's a very successful person. He's a great person. He does a lot in the community and across the world. So he could have held that as rejection because I was really ugly. Really, I must say so myself. And you probably say, why am I bringing that up? That was the part that I played because I had to look at myself and see, why did I react that way during that time, to realize that I was holding hurt from my father, what I felt that my dad left me because he died suddenly. So I had almost like, you abandoned me, but my dad had nothing to do with, with his death. It was time for him to go. And in addition to that, my family, we were going through another family emergency or family trauma. My oldest uncle actually was in the hospital fighting for his life. And so my family we went through a lot of dynamics, a lot of different changes. It was challenging for us. traveling back and forth. But one thing it did do, it brought us together. But I felt that, oh my gosh, I lost my father. My family dynamic is just all over the place. My uncle's fighting for his life. And so I held on to it. And in my heart, I was just throwing out bad seeds. I would say ugly seeds, just sowing the ugly seeds. And that was really not my character. And I really lost my fun loving self and started displaying really bad character flaws and, being ugly to people. So, with that, I'm going to say don't hold hurt in your heart. And like I said, because I held the hurt in my heart, I actually ended up going to counseling because of the adjustment of my father, not realizing how his death impacted me. And I was expecting for him to come home because my dad died in prison. And I myself, I wanted him to change. I felt we would have talks. And I would say, Dad, when are you gonna change? When are you gonna do better? My dad was off the chain when I say that. But my father was a great dad to me. He was not a maybe the best person other people may say, but my dad was a great father to me. And so I felt that when he didn't come back, I was like, if you wasn't there in prison, then you would have came home. You probably would have lived. And I also felt that someone, actually took his life. Um, so I held it in my heart. I held it in my heart. And like I said, above everything else, guard your heart because everything flows from it. And I lost my father, and I had plans of going to college to be a marine biologist. That was my plans that I thought. And so when that happened, I derailed. I'm pretty much derailed. I still did my work and everything. I was very studious, but I became bitter. And so that did affect me as far as deciding to go through being a marine biologist. I totally changed and decided not to go forth because in my heart, it was callous. It was hurt. It was like, how could this happen? Like, how do you just abandon me? I really don't care. Or like the world don't care. And then I also ended up with a mindset of my world didn't shatter. My father left me. And I saw my neighbors still going to work. I saw people driving by in their cars. I saw people still going on with their lives. And I felt like my life stopped. And like, why nobody else's life stopped? And so, again, guard your heart. So, your heart is the source of everything you do. Your words, reactions, and choices all flow from where you allow to settle, what you're allowed to settle there. And we have to learn how to guard it with intention and grace. And I guess one of the questions is, how can you guard your heart? I didn't realize until later that even during the midst of my father's death, two of my best friends, we were friends since elementary school. I was betrayed. Hold on. She really wanted my boyfriend. It was easy. It was really easy because I hadn't chumped out. And it's not the fact of the boyfriend. It was the fact of the betrayal of our relationship. I consider her as a sister. We did everything together. We went out of town together, went on trips together, went on family trips. Even though she went to a different school, her sister went to the same high school as I did. We did everything, change clothes. I would do her hair, would give her money for her hair, give money for nails. And that was a big betrayal. And what it did for me is, even when I went to college, I saw that I started shying away from a lot of friendships. Now, like I said, I grew up with a lot of boys. So I I could ride motorcycles. I do all, grew up with boys. My dad, he taught me well on that on that part. So my relationships with females actually suffer. I stayed away. I will block myself. I'm like, nope, I'm not having no girls. I'm not going with you to the mall. I'll go with my boy cousins. Or I had a homeboy. And so I realized that I guarded myself from developing relationships with females because of the hurt that I held in my heart from being betrayed by my high school best friend. And I'm gonna say, how can we guard our heart? Guard it by leaving it open. I know that sounds crazy. Like, how you gonna guard your heart? You gonna leave it open? When I say guard your heart, I'm talking about guard your heart from the bitterness, from the resentment, from toxic thoughts, toxic actions, toxic reactions, and leave it open. Leave it open so that you can heal. Because and to realize everyone is not the same, and because one thing or one person, or maybe you were hurt or you was laid off on a job or this company didn't value, does not mean that another company or that other people will not value your friendship or value you as an individual. And so just remember that you're going to leave your heart open so that you can heal. I'm not saying that you are going to forget the hurt, but you're going to try to heal from the hurt. That's the only way, because if you build a wall, I would say a stone wall or a fence around your heart, only thing going to happen is the bitterness going to sit in. The hurt is going to turn to bitterness. The bitterness is going to come out your heart. And then you're going to end up being a bitter person, making bitter decisions. Just going about life being a bitter person, or someone that I like to say that suck the life out of people, or just negative, because you're using it as a mechanism and it's coming out of your heart, because what's in your heart flows out. And no matter how we try to guard it, if we have bitterness, it's going to show. It's going to show in our actions. It's going to show with even your mindset, how you think. It's even going to show because you'll be less willing to take risk, and it would affect your belief in yourself. Yes, it will. It will affect your self-esteem. We may not think about it, but it will. Bitterness will affect. If your heart is filled with bitterness, it would affect your entire life. And eventually, some people, it affects their health. It shows and manifests in your body. So just protect it at all times. And remember that, yeah, you may get hurt, but you can heal. And there are things that you can do to heal. You may have to set boundaries. And when I say boundaries, everyone does not have the capability to receive all of us. And when I say all of us, all of ourselves, some people are only capable of receiving maybe 25% of you. Some people 50% of you. And I know you're like, 25%, why they in your life? Because that 20% who's only capable of receiving 25%, maybe a coworker, maybe someone you're doing a project with. So they only allowed to receive whatever it is that they need from you to complete that project, to complete whatever that I call it purpose project, or whatever it is, whatever the job. And then you may have someone 50%, a little more, whatever relationship you have with them, maybe a little more in depth. But there are a few people that are going to be able to receive 100% of you, and they will reciprocate as well. And you will find those people. And the only way you're going to be able to find those people, or I call your tribe, or even your support, say cheerleader staff, your support staff, your really true ride with you, believe in you, uh, people who sow into you, is when your heart is open. When your heart is totally open and not bitter, and then you're able to receive. The real, I'm gonna say 100%ers, the people who are down with you, the people who probably been through what you went through or what you're going through, but they have worked on themselves and they have their heart open too and willing to heal. Because one of the things I'm gonna say, I've heard people, one of the things I'm gonna say is, when you've been hurt, you know how it feels. It's not very nice. Uh, no, a lot of times I hear people say, "Oh, well, hurt people hurt people." Okay, yeah, maybe, but is that right? Hmm? Is that right? Okay, because you hurt, you're gonna go around hurting people? So if you hurt, you know how it feels to be hurt. It's unpleasant. It doesn't feel good. It's not nice. It leaves you a bitter taste in your mouth. You're like disappointed. Uh, so why would you go around and do the same thing to someone else? Does it make it right? No, it doesn't. Okay, so guard our heart. And just remember that we're going to protect our peace. If you protect your peace, it'll help you to keep your heart open. And when I say protect your peace, try to be around people who at least have or feel almost the same way as you do, or maybe in alignment with you when your heart is open. So you can protect your heart and not allow yourself to be hurt or to build boundaries again or walls. And then when you open your heart and not allow yourself to be hurt or not allow yourself to let the bitterness or the resentment fester or grow into anger, or even I've seen people let it grow into jealousy. It can lead into, oh my gosh, a whole lot of things, which is not good. And you may need time to get over it, but you don't want it to affect your character, because it could affect your character and have you operating out of a character, and also committing things that, or acts that you normally wouldn't do, but you let this hurt, this resentment, this bitterness grow in your heart towards someone because you built that wall, and it has to come out. And sometimes it comes out in a bad way, or a way that you definitely didn't desire for it to, and then you're paying for that mistake. So I know we all need time to heal or to get over what happened. I'm not saying just be passive and because someone hurt you, just to be like, oh, okay, I'm just going to get over it. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying let it go. Let it go so that you can live. Let it go so that you can heal. Let it go so that out of your heart, rivers will flow. Let it go so that out of your heart, you can progress. Let it go so that you won't be guilty or feel guilty if you do something wrong, or if you're doing it like a payback, or you're doing it because you was hurt. So you're going around sowing bad seeds because someone hurt you. And then later that can turn into guilt and you resenting yourself. So just remember, when we keep living in the past, especially the past hurts, it kidnaps our future. It takes it hostage. It will stop you, stop your growth. It will stop your productivity. It will stop your progress. So a hardened heart, a stuffed heart, a bitter heart is not good. Eventually, what will happen is it would either harden and wither away, and you will see the results from it. So just remember that in life, we will get hurt, we will go through it, but just guard your heart and let it go. Let it go, because even that person that you decided not to forgive, something that happened 20 years ago, that person probably have changed for the better. They could have did it and not realize what they actually done to you. Wasn't their intentions to hurt you to the level that they did. But you're holding on to it. So instead of you getting better, you're getting more bitter. More bitter. They got more better. You got more bitter. But no, seriously. You're holding on to it. And they wasn't even aware of how bad they hurt you, or it was not their intentions. And that person is not the same as they were 20 years ago. They have changed for the better. They have matured. Could have been 17 and now they're 37. They're adult now. They're different, and you're holding them responsible for something that they did in their past, and they have totally healed. So just remember that. Let it go. Don't fester. Work on healing. Work on releasing it. And it's something that has to be done daily. And remember, you're not the same person you was 5 years ago. So if you did something 5 years ago, I know I've done a lot of things to people. Like, for instance, I remember my cousin. I hit my cousin's car. Oh gosh, I was a bad driver. So when I was younger, especially younger, I'll hit your car and keep it moving. If your car is near, if I'm backing out the yard or going around the circle in the driveway, and your car has to be anywhere in the vicinity of me getting out the driveway, baby, You gonna have a scrape, you might have a dang, you might have a dip, you might have anything. And I'm gonna keep it moving. I ain't gonna say nothing. So what happened was a couple of years back, I hit my cousin's car. I know I hit my cousin's car. You can see my you can see the paint on my car, on his car. So what happened is I was good at hitting people's car and not saying anything. So when I did that, I hit his car, went on when I had to go, and forgot about it. So I think about 2 days later, 3 days later, my cousin came to the house. He knew I hit his car. He just swiped the heck out my car. So I'm not saying that. So I was mad. I was upset. And so I was like, oh my God, I can't really he hit my car. But the funny thing was, when he came to my house, the only thing we could do, both do, is laugh, because I'm like, I did it to him. He did it to me. We did it to each other. But that was years ago. But now I respect my car. I respect people's cars. I have changed. So I will not even park near anyone. If I go to a parking space, I park like where no one's parking. I get out the car, I look and make sure nobody's danging my car. I'm not gonna dang anyone's car. So the moral of the story is people can change. You're not the same person that you were 5 years ago or a year ago. They're not either. So even though you was hurt, let it go. Let it go, because out of your heart flows everything you do. Your reactions, what you think, and your choices all flow from your heart. So therefore, a healed heart, good things can flow. You can have great reactions and make great choices. Let it go, and do not let the hurt, the pain hold your heart. So guard it, but guard your heart to allow the good things to come in.